Fall is all about cozy comforts, and with Hero Bread, you can enjoy all your favorites and still hit your health goals. From breakfast bagels and meal prepped enchiladas to mouth-watering burgers and cheesy noodles. You won't believe Hero Bread's options have 0 to 5 grams net carbs and are high fiber from the taste and texture. And right now, Hero Bread is offering 10% off your order. Go to hero.co and use code FALL25 at checkout. That's FALL25 at hero.co. All figures are per serving of Hero Bread. Contains 2 to 18 grams of fat per serving. See the product nutrition panels on hero.co for more information.
Welcome to Growing Your Team, a podcast designed for small business owners seeking to grow their company with the help of employees and contractors. Your time is limited, which means growing and leveraging teams is essential for business success. The Growing Your Team podcast is the place to learn tips and techniques designed to help you know when it's the right time to hire, how to select perfect fit team members, and how to maximize productivity while creating a positive work environment. Drawing from her 10-plus years of leadership and hiring experience, here is your host, Jamie Van Kuyk.
Hello, Jamie Van Kuyk here, and welcome back to the Growing Your Team podcast. Today, we have on Francesca Deane. Francesca is an international health and mindset coach, and she helps high-achieving, busy women make themselves a priority and fit a healthy lifestyle into their busy schedules. Today, Francesca is talking to us about her time back when she was an employee and sharing with us some things that happened to her that demotivated her, made her feel not really a part of the team or valued within the workforce, and how you can do things differently so you grow a team within your business who's excited to work for you and wants to stay a part of your team for the long term. One call out that I do want to make about this interview is that it was recorded about 2 months ago. In this episode, we do talk about companies failing because they are not capable of pivoting when needed or pivoting fast enough. Due to the current situation with COVID-19, you hear a lot about pivoting and companies needed to shift what they are offering. Please know that when we are talking about pivoting in this episode and the context we're talking about it, we are talking about businesses in really a normal situation, and we are not talking about companies not pivoting fast enough or making the right decisions in the current business marketplace and environment that businesses are experiencing today. So this was a pre-COVID-19 discussion, and we understand that things are different right now, but I didn't want to take this part out of the interview because it is still very valid information for when things are operating more in a quote-unquote normal environment. Let's jump into the interview. Welcome, Francesca, to the Growing Your Team podcast. Thank you for joining us. Let's kick off today with you telling us a little bit about yourself, your background, and the business you run.
Hi, I'm Francesca. Thanks for having me. I'm Italian, as you may guess from my accent. I'm a mom to 2 little boys, Massimo and Michael, who are just 17 months apart. So they keep me pretty busy. I'm a health and mindset coach, and I help high-achieving busy women streamline their routines and fit a healthy lifestyle into their busy schedule. Before becoming a health coach, I worked for over 8 years for top-tier multinational companies and in corporate finance. In fact, I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in business economics. But then I decided to give my career different directions, and now, I have this mission of helping women, get healthy and get the energy and mental focus they need to take their business to the next level.
So what made you really change from being in these top-tier multi-international companies to wanting to run your own business?
It definitely wasn't like an overnight decision that I took. It wasn't automatic. So when I was in the corporate world, I kind of struggled with a couple of things. The first one was, the 9 to 5 office hours. Many people struggle with that. And I didn't mind going to the office. It actually was an environment that I really liked, spending time with my colleagues and brainstorm and have meetings. But I really didn't like the lack of flexibility, in the sense that, like, many times I was in the office and I didn't have much to do, but I still have to be there. So I felt like I was kind of wasting my time, or I could have done something more productive. And it was highly demotivating, because you can be efficient and do things in half of the time, or through in less time, and then use the rest of your time to do something that you like, or even studying, or learning new skills. And so I felt like my life in the office was kind of a waste of time, because there were a lot of moments where I couldn't I basically wasn't doing much. The second part that I really struggled with, and one of the reasons why then I decided to move to my current career, is that I couldn't really express my creativity and my spirit of innovation. So in several occasions, I tried to improve or change systems and processes. I was in corporate finance, so when I say creativity, there's not much creativity in numbers, of course, but definitely you can improve or change processes and implement innovation also in corporate finance. And in a few occasions, I was very excited, and I worked on a project. Like, I wanted to make it different. I was working in budgeting and forecasting. So basically, every month you report the same numbers, but you can report the same numbers in different ways. And I had figured out like system where I think they were more effective for our users to know what people we were sending the reports to. And approached my boss and saying, look, I did this, I think they're gonna like it better, it's visually better, it's simple. And like my boss, like in a couple of occasions, it was like, yeah, I know it's a great idea, it looks great, but we've always done things this way, and we're gonna I don't think there's reason to change. Like, we're gonna when we'll have to deal with resistance with people who are not familiar with the new format, so I don't think it's worth doing that. And so like I was going just back to my desk and say, okay, fine, so I will keep doing things the same old way. And so that that kind of if ain't broke, don't fix it mentality was really, really, really difficult for me. It kind of went against my values of growth and improving. Not surprising that now I'm a coach, and like growth and improving and change is the core of my work. So this is kind of how it shifted from being employee for a corporate finance job to owning my home business, because I could get like those elements of flexibility and innovation and creativity without needing to like approval from any boss.
There's so many things in there that you brought up that I really want to go back and talk more about. The first being that, like, okay, let's start with the end. So this thing that's on top of everybody's mind, if it ain't broke, don't fix it mentality, which it's kind of a funny way to look at things, because you were bringing improvements and suggestions to make things better. So this whole thing of like, well, it's not broke because the process is working, but if it can be better, maybe it really is a broken process that needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
There's so many things where it's like, if it takes us 12 hours to do something, why shouldn't we implement something that's going to take us 10 hours to do it? Because if you save 2 hours every time, that could really add up if you do the process enough.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think that the main problem is that in a corporate environment, you like even your boss is an employee itself. So like it's not their company. And so they care because they care about their job, but I don't know how much they care about, like be more efficient and saving money, unless their bonus is linked to that KPI, like maybe keeping the expenses of department low. So I think like being now an entrepreneur, where I really care, of course, about my company, and so you do everything, every decision is because you want to improve and make everything better, because you want to save time, you want to save money, you're in that perspective. If you're an employee, you don't not necessarily do that. So I think that's kind of why my bosses at the time really didn't care, because they didn't, it would be like a pain for them, basically.
Yeah. You brought up a really good point there. Like, unless your boss's, bonus was tied to the numbers and saving money, they probably really didn't care about saving time and saving money and all those things, because it wasn't tied to their position. Which is when I work with business owners and we're setting goals, I'm always like, every goal that you set for an employee needs to tie back to that big vision and company goals. Because if it doesn't, things are always going to be out of line, and no one's going to ever want to help you with things that aren't tied to their job.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's definitely a very interesting mindset. Like when people are like, no, let's not make improvements, let's not change things, especially because when you have team members like yourself, so when your employees are bringing things to you and then you're constantly just being like, no, 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 we're not going to do that. No, it stops you from wanting to help the company.
Yes.
It's kind of like you're put in your place, but most people don't want to be put in that place. They feel like they can't grow, can't make an impact, can't change things within an organization.
Yeah, and in fact, like people who want to innovate then end up leaving, and so like these companies actually end up attracting the kind of wrong people or the less motivated employees. So in the long run, it's not a great strategy for them.
Yeah, especially like think about it this way for innovation. You have some of these huge companies lately that have been going bankrupt. And then one of the reasons that they're going bankrupt is because they can't pivot and move fast enough. And the reason why they now can't pivot and move fast enough is because they had all this time where there was opportunity for change. And they're like, well, the way we're doing things is working. We don't need to make changes because we have this thing that is working. But the
Yeah.
rest of the industry changes and then they can't catch up. So think of like Toys R Us, the big toy store. They didn't want to move into the online environment. They kept saying, our stores are working,
Right.
everything's fine. We don't have to do it, until it got to a point where they were so far behind that they
Yeah.
couldn't catch back up.
Yeah. So like, yeah, that's a great point. Like having a vision, being proactive, and see where the industry is heading. And I guess there are companies who are very pioneers in this sense, but like maybe I was just unlucky, and the department where I was working, and maybe not the company itself, but specifically the department where I was working was functioning that way. And for me was really not rewarding. And, you go to work without feeling a sense of purpose. Like, what am I doing here?
Yeah. And that's a good call out for everybody listening, is you have the ability to control if your employees feel like there's a sense of purpose within your organization.
Mm-hmm.
You want them supporting your mission, supporting your goals. And if
Yeah.
you're not helping them get to that point, they're not going to want to stay. And then you're always going to be in that cycle of having to rehire and refill positions.
Absolutely. And that's what happened in my former company. Really, like people were just coming and going.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the main reasons.
Yeah. So with you and your business, how are you going to do things differently so you do motivate your team members to be innovative and come up with new ideas, especially because in your business, those ideas that they want to change are yours. They're kind of what you personally put together, so you have this emotional tie to them, unlike a process that was handed to you by somebody else.
Yes. I just recently hired a virtual assistant, and very excited about that. she's a young, very smart woman. And so coming from my past experience in the corporate world and all my frustrations and struggles I've just talked about, one of my first one of the first things I told her during my interview was like, listen, I really appreciate you being, coming up with ideas. Feel free to tell me what you think. You don't have to ask for permission for every single thing. If you think that something may be useful or help my business, go ahead. Like I try to give her space to basically feel like she's part of the company. Like I told her, you're not working for me, you're working with me. It's kind of like, this is our project. She's now working specifically on my social media, which is one of those tasks that for me is very, very, like, I don't really like doing it. So I write all the content, but she helps me with a few technicalities and things, and she keeps me also accountable in keeping on with that, with those tasks, and I think she really appreciated that, and she's been with me for just a few weeks, but I can feel she's very involved and engaged. And like, I don't know, if a post gets a lot of engagement, she gets excited, like she was her own. And that was kind of my goal. But at the same time, however, it's not that easy, sometimes, because my business, I've been a solopreneur for like 3 years, and no one has worked with me for a long time, and my business is like my baby, and
Right.
I have two little kids. When you feel nervous because you leave your baby with the babysitter for the first time, right? It's kind of like it's kind of the same. You want to trust them, and because then it's gonna free up your time, and you can do something, for you, or working on something different. But at the same time, you feel protective of that. So I've of course there's also that there's kind of a conflict, like on one hand you want to be, open to innovation and give them as much freedom as possible so they can really bring something new to the plate, because otherwise you're just in your head. And on the other hand, though, it's your business, it's your baby, and you want to keep it as authentic as possible, so you don't want too many interferences from someone who's different than you.
Right. Yeah, it really is a balancing act. And the best thing to do is when someone brings an idea to the table is really ask yourself why it won't work. And if you find out, well, it's just because it's not my way, then at least it starts to challenge you. Should you consider another way? Like, what makes your way better than this way? And
Mm-hmm.
then if there's something else that is making it so it doesn't work, because maybe you have knowledge that team member doesn't have, share that knowledge, or share as much of the knowledge as you can. I even know there was times back when I was in corporate and I'd bring ideas, and there'd be stuff that was still, I couldn't know about it yet, because they were still in the processes where it was confidential to my level and below. But my boss would at least say, listen, there's things going on that are going to make it so that can't work. I can't share the details now, but no, it's not because it's a bad idea. But it's not going to be possible once this rolls out. And then sometimes once things would roll out later, it'd be like, oh, okay, now I see what she means. But it meant such a big difference other than just being told, no,
Right,
you can't do that.
right, absolutely. That's part of also of the training, like if you want to give them more responsibilities, you need to open up and kind of like let them into your head, what are you thinking and why you think something is good and why you think something is not as good. Give them kind of some idea of how do you want them to do things on your behalf, basically.
Yes, definitely. I want to go back and talk about something else that you shared during your corporate story and part of the reason that you left. You were talking about just the lack of flexibility and that 9 to 5 office structure. And I feel like so many people that are becoming business owners or want to become business owners might have never really had the drive to own their own business and be an entrepreneur, but they're trying to find something that's that flexibility, like that gives them the schedule they want. Now, do you think, thinking back to your time in corporate, besides the fact that it was always done that way, should there have been opportunities for flexibility, or do you think the type of role made it so it should always be a 9 to 5 type job?
No, there should have been opportunities for flexibility in my case, like especially in the second, like in the first few years of my career, I was working for PwC, and which is like one of big four multinational consulting companies, and there my hours were like 9 to 9. Really, is like I was really working hard, and I was young, and that's kind of what you do when you work in consulting. But like my second job, where I was in a finance department of this company, there basically I could do like my 1 month worth of work in probably 3 weeks, because I'm very organized, and I'm result oriented. So like I was just working and get things done. And then I found myself like at a certain point where I didn't have anything to do, and I mean, during those time, I really studied for my health coaching certification. I'm not lying, because I just needed to make something with that time. So they could have motivated me more by just giving me flexibility, and maybe I could have worked every day until 3 p.m. or give me more responsibilities if they thought that I could handle more. But neither of those things happened, and so yeah, I was really pushed to, like, it made me reflect, like, is this what I want to do with my life professionally?
Yeah. It's that interesting thing where people think, well, it's a full-time job, so the person needs to be working 40 hours. And if they're not working 40 hours, they're not putting in enough for the company. And sometimes we need to look at it instead of hours worked, but the impact and the value that they're giving to the company. Because some people can come in and do the same amount of work in 30 hours that could take some other person 50 hours to work. But that person that's taking 50 hours of work, is it actually 50 hours of quality work? Or could they have done it in less time if they were motivated to?
Totally. I mean, that's like this the 9 to 5 hours that don't reward people who are kind of better or perform better, I think. So yeah, definitely. I think many companies are moving in that direction. I feel now, like you just have to measure someone's performance based on the output, and not like how many hours you are in the office, physically in the office.
Yeah.
Because like also from a mental health perspective, having a work-life balance, it's very important. And sometimes you just are in the office when you can be with your husband, with your kids, or just taking care of yourself, or doing something for you.
Right. No, exactly. I know that I work with a lot of business owners that they're like, well, what do we do if all of a sudden 1 week there's not 40 hours worth of work for our full-time person? I'm like, let them go home early and
Yeah.
still pay them their full 40 hours. What's the point of having them sit around the office twiddling their thumbs when they could go and run to the grocery store, or I don't know, pick up the kids from school instead of having them go to aftercare? I'm like, you can reward your employees and do something nice for them.
Absolutely. And that's how like the way that the mood of your employees improve, also like the culture you set for your company, even if it's a small one, it doesn't matter. You don't have to have like 100 employees to think about culture. You can also have like one staff working with you, but still thinking about company culture. Like, what do you want your employee to experience? How do you want them to feel? And yeah, I was in their shoes, and definitely I will try if I hire a full-time employee, hopefully in the near future. I will definitely try to put myself in their shoes, and remember that I was there.
Yes, it's always good. And also just remember that even if you have a full-time employee, it doesn't necessarily need to be in all industries and all positions, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. We live in a day and age where we can provide additional flexibility, having people start earlier or working later, or even sometimes working longer days and having a half day on Fridays. So you sometimes have to think about, is the 9 to 5 norm a necessity for the position? Some positions it is, because you need someone answering the phones, because that's when clients are going to call. Other positions, as long as the work gets done, the work gets done.
I agree 100%. And that's what I'm doing with my VA. Like there are some deadlines, because, if she has to work on some posts or content that I created and that needs to be posted within 2 days, she needs to do that within 2 days. But like she can do it whenever she wants. I'm not going to check when she's working, or I'm not, wherever fits her life, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So let's talk a little bit about health. See, and that's what you're doing for your business. You're, helping people become healthier and getting those better mindsets. As business owners, that's really important. And our health and our mindset are not only going to impact ourselves, but it's going to impact the way we lead our teams and the leader that we show up to be for our teams. So can you give us like maybe a few quick tips of, if someone's been completely slacking on either their health or feel like they're in a poor mindset area, that they're identifying it? What are some quick tips or things that they should start doing to really get themselves back on the right track?
Yeah, well, definitely mindset is the number one thing, because if you don't put yourself, or you don't think your health is a priority, you will never work on that. So, and many entrepreneurs, we work hard because we love what we do, and it's easy to neglect ourselves and say, well, there's no time. I'll like, okay, in a month's time, after this project is done, after I worked on this, after I worked on that, I will have time for myself. But that is it's never going to happen, because there's going to be always something else. So like, definitely work on your mindset so that your health is your number one priority. No kidding. Like, not your business, not your kids, not your husbands, like your health. Because if you're not healthy, you don't have the energy or the mental focus to take care of your family, to take care of your business, and to grow your business. So it's absolutely paramount. Definitely, like practical tips, I would say sleep enough, like 78 hours. Not kidding. That's very, very important, because our body otherwise cannot function. And also take breaks throughout the day. I have days myself, and I'm a health coach, but I have days where I'm working on something and I forget to go to the bathroom and pee, because I'm so into what I'm doing. But that's absolutely not healthy. And then I just get up after 3 hours being in the same position working on one thing, and I don't even know who I am. So definitely take breaks, and nurture your body, like with good food and with movement, and remind yourself that your body is what supports you, and also your mental functions. And so if you want to become a successful entrepreneur, is that you definitely need to take care of that.
Yes, that's so great. And there's some very important things that you said in there that hiring and growing your team is going to help you with. Most of the entrepreneurs that aren't getting enough sleep is because you feel like you need to do it all. But you can't do it all. You don't have enough hours in the day to do it all, because when you try to do it all and you're lacking on sleep and you're lacking on taking care of yourself, your productivity is actually going to go down. The chances of you creating an error is going to go up. So stop trying to do it all and get the team to support you so your business can do it all. It doesn't have to be you. It can be your business that does it.
Absolutely. Definitely, like getting as much support as you can afford, really. Mm-hmm. Like hire a VA, delegate tasks, hire, even a business coach, or creating a kind of a support system that allows you to be healthy, and so mentally and physically healthy, and grow your business. But and you can have it all. You can have it all with a little bit of organization and delegating, and spread responsibilities and tasks among more people, and definitely hire someone helps with that. Although there's financial pressure when you have to make such a decision, and for me it took a long time before I said, well, now it's time. I need help, because it's a risk, of course. That's an expense, and then that you're surely going to pay every month, but you don't know what's the revenue, if there's going to be a revenue on the other side.
Yeah.
Although that's scarcity mindset, and you cannot think that way, or you will never grow.
Right. As I always say, yes, hiring team members does add an expense, but when we add the right ones at the right time, there should be that return on investment. You should have a revenue impact because of it. And sometimes you're right. We do need to go and try things out, because you don't actually know how that revenue is going to be impacted. And that's a great way of starting small, hiring that VA for a few hours every week, or the social media manager, or some other position, and see, how does this actually impact my business? Okay, now that I know how it does, let me increase hours or move it to a bigger position.
Yeah. And there are also other benefits. Like, I realized that hiring a VA made me, first of all, aware of all the tasks I was carrying on that I wasn't aware of, because you just do stuff, you just do things, right? To kind of carry on. I was in a very reactive mode, because being just one person, and when your business is growing, you're not proactive, you're not strategic, you're just reactive. You just try to stop, basically. So hiring her made me think, okay, what are the things that I do, because you need to be aware of that, otherwise you cannot delegate. And also, it was very good, because I, for the first time, formalized processes and systems, which were just in my head. And by doing so, because I had to explain to her what I was doing and how I wanted things to be done, and how she could help me with what I was doing. And so that was very helpful. It helped me streamline and simplify some of the processes, and be more clear about my systems and processes. And I wasn't aware, and I wasn't clear at all before hiring her.
Right, exactly. So tell us, how can everyone get in touch with you?
You can find me on my website, which is francescadeane.com. I have also a Facebook page or Instagram account, and the handle is francescadeane.healthcoach. And my email address is franci@francescadeane.com. So if you want to reach out to me, that's the best way to do so.
Awesome. And I will include all those in the show notes as well. All right. So as we wrap up today, the question I like to ask everyone is, we've all had managers or leaders that have stood out to us. So think of the most impactful leader or manager you have had, and share with us one thing that made them stand out to you as a great leader.
So the best boss I've ever had, I think, was this guy at PwC, the company I used to work when I just graduated, who really was walking his talks. He was authoritative, he was a leader, but he was also humble. The type of guy who's not afraid of saying that he doesn't know something, or that he had made a mistake. And I really, really respected him for that. And it was very inspiring to me. And I thought, if I'm a leader, I want to be a leader like that.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. And thank you, Francesca, so much for coming on the Growing Your Team podcast.
Thank you, Jamie, for having me.
And that wraps up this episode of the Growing Your Team podcast. Do you have questions about anything discussed in today's episode? Or do you have other questions related to hiring and managing your team? then I invite you to join us over in the Growing Your Team Facebook community. The group is designed to provide you support as you grow and manage the team who will save you time and earn both you and your business more. So come on over and join us in the Growing Your Team Facebook group, and let's grow you the team that you need and deserve.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Growing Your Team with your host, Jamie Van Kuyk. Be sure to subscribe and head on over to growingyourteam.com to connect, access the show notes, and discover more ways to hire and leverage your perfect fit team.